So welcome to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie UK. Today we're going to be slip stitching together our granny squares to join them. Much like you do with your double crochet joining, you can do these in larger rows and just keep continuously joining more and more squares as you're putting together your blanket. The difference is that we start by placing the granny squares right side together. So remembering your right side has that nice stitch definition and your wrong side, in my opinion, isn't just quite as pretty. So put those right sides together and we start by inserting our hook into the chain in one of the corners, making sure it's the chain next to your first treble. And again, do that. But we're actually working on the insides of these stitches. So here's your chain. You've got two loops and we're just going to put it through the inside loop on both of these squares. Pop that through and we're just going to attach our yarn with a slip stitch. Just bring that through and then just do a chain one to secure. And we're going to do the same all the way across. So we're going to work into the inside of these loops here. And we're just literally going to yarn over, bring it through and straight through that loop on your hook. So do the same, so working on those inside loops, through and through. Pick up that next loop, through and through. And do the same with your chain, just bringing in those inside loops, through and through. Again, we don't want a tight tension when we're slip stitching. We're trying to ensure that we get a nice even tension all the way across, making sure that we work those inside loops of these stitches on the corresponding stitches on the square. Oops. Remembering to work through the chain space, don't work into the chain space or around it, work through one of those strands. Goodness me, sorry, having fun today. There we go, through. I think it is definitely easier to identify where you've worked using these stitches, most definitely, and it certainly gives you a nice finish, much like the double crochet join gives you a ridge in your pattern. This ridge tends to be on the inside of your project, so if you're doing something like I am where you're making a cushion cover, you won't see the chain effectively on the outside of your project, you'll just see the join. I wouldn't recommend joining them in this way if you were using, as I am, a contrasting colour, and you'll see why in a moment. But if you were using the same colour for your border, if your borders all matched the same colour, you wouldn't see this. It would be almost an invisible join on your project as well. So it's really a great choice if you're joining lots of squares together. They all have the same colour border, but you want a super quick way to join. Because much like you can with your double crochet joins, you can continue to work up all the way up your length of your project or your blanket, just adding on the next pair of squares and then working through the chain between each of your squares as well. So now that we've joined this square all together, we're going to have a look and show you what it looks like. Oh, I've missed that one, sorry. I've woven in here, that's why. There we go. So this is the wrong side of your blanket, and you can see that's quite clearly defined there. I just pull that loop up for a moment, but it's almost a practically invisible join. So you can see that there is kind of a cute contrasting colour, but it's not an obvious join. It's quite subtle. my tension is a little bit tight on my slip stitching. I don't like doing a slip stitch as my as you can see, mine's a little bit tight. But if you, because obviously we don't want it to pull the square at all. So something I need to be aware of is definitely make mine a little bit looser. But it certainly lays flat if it's not got a tight tension, as you can see. And it is practically invisible. If this was done in pink, you'd only see a pink line really going up there. But from the wrong side, if you were doing a blanket and it was all the same colour, it's a very small ridge. It doesn't give you the same bulk as you would get, say, if you were doing a double crochet join. You get that lovely ridge that shows up. You don't get the same ridge as you do with the slip stitch join. So just another way to join your granny squares. I'll link the video for how to join the double crochet join for your granny squares below, so you can see how you can work along when you're joining all your extra rows as well.